this question comes from Kevin Z, 31 years old from Jacksonville, Florida. Kevin says, I'm in marketing today and want to move into a leadership role. I'm thinking of going back for my MBA to better my chances. What do you think? All right, Kevin, this is a common question that people ask and just a common thought process that people go through as they're looking at a career transition or looking to move into leadership. They are questioning what the value of an MBA is. Should they go get their MBA? So it's a very common question. My take on MBAs, and this is from experience of having worked with a lot of people that have MBAs, exploring that path myself, working in different industries that require it versus other industries that don't require it. So, I have experience with this. My take on MBAs is that they are required in certain industries and companies, but outside of that, I don't believe that their value is that significant. So let me explain further. There are certain industries, investment banking, private equity, healthcare administration. If you want to be in a leadership role in a Fortune 500 company, they basically require MBAs. Outside of that, most industries and companies don't require them. And they don't place much value on them either. If they're looking at a pool of candidates, let's say, to hire someone, and they've got 50 candidates, and there's 5 MBAs, in today's world, they don't put that much more stock into those MBAs. Same thing if they're going to promote people, right? They are going to promote from within more so based on performance, not what your credentials are. So if you're a top tier performer, you likely don't need to go get an MBA unless the company requires it. If you're a low performer and you go get an MBA, it's not really going to make a difference because they view you as a low performer already. So you going back to school is not going to help your cause. So I'm not a big believer in the value of an MBA unless it's for something very specific, right? Or let's say you are in sales and you want to go into marketing. Even then, I think you could probably make that leap without doing it, but that would be an example of where it could be applicable because you could go learn things about marketing, maybe get an internship during your MBA time, things like that. Or if it is in required industry. Again, I don't know if your industry, or not your industry marketing, but your company, right? The only time that they would typically require an MBA is if it's more of a Fortune 500 type company. It's the only real time that they ever expect that you would have an MBA if they want you to move into leadership. Outside of that, it's not really a requirement. And if it's not a requirement, I don't believe that the value of it is that great. Even all the people that I know who went and got MBAs, right? I know the people that went and got MBAs at top schools, Kellogg, University of Chicago, Harvard, right? Those folks will tell you that the most valuable part of getting their MBA was the network they developed within that program. Those that went outside of those top schools, most of them truthfully have told me that they regret it. They feel like they spent a lot of money, they didn't really get the value from it, and I even have experiences of people who went and got their MBA because they thought it was going to propel them to the next level of their career, and it really didn't. They ended up basically back in the same job or same type of job that they had before they went and got their MBA. They were just had less money because they spent all the money on the MBA. Because what people often think is that if you go get your MBA, everyone's going to be knocking on your door, and that's just not the way it is, right? It's kind of the same way if you think back, 30 years ago. If you went to college, people were knocking on your door because not everyone went to college. Now, most people go to college. Same thing with MBAs. They've become oversaturated. There's so many MBAs out there that the value of them is lesser. So, unless your industry or your job requires it, I would just say take a hard look, right? I'm not saying don't do it. You may want to go for other reasons. You may just like furthering your education, things like that. But you also have to look at the opportunity cost. If you go full-time for your MBA, let's say an MBA costs $100,000. If you go full-time, you are foregoing 2 years of income and paying $100,000. Okay, what's the cost of that? If you go part-time, you're still paying the $100,000 and you're making your income, that's fine, but you're paying $100,000. But also part-time, you're not immersing yourself in the experience, and that networking effect that I was talking about probably isn't as valuable because you're not getting that as much. And if you do it online, then you're completely losing that networking effect. So you have to look at your priorities and determine what is the true value? What's the return on investment that you're going to get? If you think that an MBA is going to just magically get you a promotion or get you a new job, it's not. So don't go into it thinking that. If you're doing it because you want to further your education, you enjoy learning, you want the credential, then that's fine. But just don't think it's a silver bullet. So you have to decide for yourself. Like I said, my personal take is I don't think that the MBA is that valuable outside of those industries and those companies that require it. But you have to decide that for yourself. So thank you for the question. Hopefully that helps. And you just got to decide what your priorities are. What is going to be best for you in your path.